under the sun. Lazy days roll by, grass so green, trees sway and sigh.
Hi, this is Kathy McAllister. How are you today? So today we are working on our country angel, the blue, red, and white one. And of course, she is the twin sister to our Bow Bunny angel. And we already did the class on this one. So we're concentrating on our country angel today. And as I had described her, she's a little bit country and a little bit patriotic. So you can do the song to that. I won't torture you with trying to sing a jingle. But anyway, she's very, very sweet. And she's got the kind of coloration that works really well for the summer. But she really can be all year round. So there's nothing in her that's, that it's just perfect for all year round if that's what you want to do. And she does have the red, white, and blue colors too, which make her nice for Memorial Day, July 4th, Veterans Day, whatever. Okay, so we are going to do her today. We're going to say, put her aside, put our little bunny bow aside, and if you grab your paints and kick back and relax, I will show you how to paint her and how to put her together, and I look forward to painting with you today. I'll see you in a second. We're going to begin by painting the hands and the face. You can use a brush, and you can cut in when you use a brush, so you don't need to use any masking. But you can see here that I have it masked up because I am going to sponge on my warm beige. I like the texture that it gives, but it is probably extra work that you don't have to do if you want to just use a brush. But I am doing this awkwardly, and I'm doing it with sponges because it does give you really cool coverage and it gives you a slight texture. I am reusing this craft sponge, which is why I'm cutting off some of the dried paint. A lot of times I'll wash them out. Other times I'll forget about them on my art table. And I'll be like, well, this is still a good sponge. So I will go ahead and just cut off some of the dry paint. And you'll probably need about 2 coats of the warm beige. Once you do that, be sure to dry it really well. And I'm going to come back with sugared peach or whatever color tones you're using for your skin. And I'm going to do a color wash of sugared peach over the warm beige. And that will bring a little different tone to the color.
Boat rides on the lake, cool and serene. Dad's old boat, we'd sail and dream. Mom's homemade.
For the dress, I'm using Stormy, and I decided to use my roller to apply the paint, which is why I've put these notes in place to mask the hands and the face and the stockings. So what I do is I have a roller, a miniature roller, and I use it on a variety of different things, and I have about 4 different colors, and I keep them in plastic bags so that I don't have to continually wash out my roller. But of course, I like the texture that you get from rollers and sponges, and you get really good coverage. And also, sometimes when you're dealing with laser cut pieces, if you have any engraving, which this particular area does not have, but if you have engraving or scoring, that sometimes when you use a brush, you're brushing the acrylic into those crevices. And sponges and rollers can sometimes cause less of that filling in of the lines. So with the roller, you need about 2 coats. But by all means, you can use a brush for this, and you don't have to use any masking then because you're going to cut in with your brush. And again, I'm using Stormy, and you need probably 2 coats.
Boat rides on the lake, cool and serene. Dad's old boat we'd sail and dream. Mom's homemade.
So I'm taking the angel wings right now, and I'm going to do them in light buttermilk. And once again, I'm using a roller for this. Um, and you can use brush or you can sponge it on. And you'll need 1 to 2 coats. And be sure to do the back as well because it will show up. The back area will show up. And also applying the paint to the back aids in warpage. Um, so once I put this on, you'll notice that I still, even though I'm trying to keep the paint out of the crevices, um, that even with the roller, that it will drop into the crevices. You can leave it like that. Like some people like to tone down the look of the scored lines with laser cut anyway, but I sometimes want them to be stronger. So I'm taking just a little tool and I'm going to scrape it across the line there, just so I can get out some of the paint that is settled into the scored lines. One little thing that didn't get recorded on this, you need to go ahead and either use a brush or a sponge, and 2 coats of light buttermilk need to go on the sock area. So I forgot to mention that earlier in the video, so make sure that you've done that. So this piece of hair will go behind the face. And then this little hair piece goes in front of the face. So that's how those 2 pieces come together. And then this sheep, little lamb sheep, goes here with its little crow friend. And the eyelet lace is going to go here. And then there's lots of other little bits that are going to go on like this. The vine with all the flowers, there's lots of individual little pieces. Um, and then, of course, the wings are going to go into the back of the body, of the angel body. And the collar piece, of course, is going to go at the front. And there's a little heart that goes on the collar as well.
Stars and stripes, waving so kind. Boat rides on the lake, cool and serene. Dad's old boat we'd sail and dream. Mom's homemade lemonade, cold and sweet.
So I'm going to go ahead while I have the light buttermilk out, and I'm going to go ahead and block this off so that I can do some sponging. Okay, so you can see that I've already done the light buttermilk on the wings and the socks, and the collar. The eyelet lace also has to have the light buttermilk, and also the sheep piece. Now, you don't have to block off the crow, and of course the hair pieces will also have light buttermilk. You do not have to block off the crow when you do the light buttermilk, the crow sitting on top of the sheep. But if you don't want to do a lot of layers of paint, you can go ahead and block that little area off, and then you can sponge. I like sponging the sheep in this situation because well, I'm using a roller, but you can sponge or roll and it will give you a similar appearance. It will give you a tiny bit of texture, which is kind of cool for, you know, the sheep wool. And if you don't have light buttermilk, you can use regular buttermilk. So, of course, the crow's going to be in black along with the sheep face and the little legs. And so even if you've done it all in buttermilk, that the black will completely cover any of that. And of course you can use a brush or a sponge for all of these pieces. You just get a little bit more textured appearance of the paint if you're using a sponge or a roller. So I have some things that we're going to dry brush in warm white, and we'll see whether we want to bump it up to snow white, titanium white. So there's some of these stripes are white, and then the other is going to be red. But these here are white stripes. And you can go out of bounds because we are going to add in red, and that will cover that up. But we're going to build color, like I said, starting with warm white and then possibly come back with some snow white. And slowly build it all up. I still need to paint that lamp black. And its little face is going to be black too. So since those things are black, oh, and the legs as well, the black will cover completely, so I can just go outside of the bounds. Build, 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 build the colors, build the colors. Building colors, but also keeping the buttermilk, light buttermilk in the background helps to layer all these colors together. So it isn't just like if you started with white, the effect would be very different than building on buttermilk or light buttermilk.
Fireflies light up the summer night, stars above shining bright and tight. Popsicle in hand, bare feet on sand. Sandcastle built and washed away again. Laughter echoes, warm and free. Memories made, sweet and sweetly. Oh, how I love this summertime. With every breeze my heart takes flight. Patriotic flags wave in the wind. Stars and stripes waving so kind.
So here is the sister angel, the bunny one, and just looking to see how bright everything is. So that's about the same tone, just except it has shading on it, of course.
Boat rides on the lake, cool and serene. Dad's old boat, we'd sail and dream. Mom's homemade lemonade, cold and sweet.
Oops, look what I forgot. So I got to go back and do the warm white now, and then top it up with the snow white on the top.
Boat rides on the lake, cool and serene. Dad's old boat, we'd sail and dream. Mom's homemade lemonade, cold and sweet.
And a little bit of snow white. Now I need the cocoa, which I think I need to grab. So the cocoa for shading. Okay, I must have already left it out here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, so cocoa. Actually, I'm going to wait to shade because I want to go ahead and add in some colors. So I'm going to go ahead and do the black. So just a lamp black. Lamp black. There you are. So the beak will be yellow, so I'm not gonna go over the beak. Avoid that.
Under the sun, lazy days roll by. Grass so green, trees sway inside. Fireflies light up the summer night. Stars above shining bright and tight. Popsicle in hand, bare feet on sand. Sandcastle built and washed away again. Laughter echoes, warm and free. Memories made, sweet and sweetly. Oh, how I love this summertime. With every breeze my heart takes flight. Patriotic flags wave in the wind.
First I'm going to do a little bit of a color wash of titanium white. No, first I'm going to shade. I'm doing this before I do the red because I can go outside of the lines with the white and then cover it up with the red. So I'm going to do that first. Because with this cocoa, I like shading it before I use the color wash. So the color wash sends some of the shading to the back. So let me see if I can find my shading brush. I just had it a little while ago. Get another one. I'll wash some of my brushes, and I guess I must still be at the sink. Oh, yeah, cocoa. So this is cocoa to start with, and it gives this lovely hue to it. It's just a nice caramelly kind of hue.
Stars and stripes, waving so kind. Boat rides on the lake, cool and serene. Dad's old boat, we'd sail and dream. Mom's homemade lemonade, cold and sweet. Sun-based memories to keep. Sunset hues, keep the sky so wide. Endless fun, no need to hide. Oh, how I love this summertime.
So now I'm going to take the titanium white and I'm going to do a little bit of a color wash. Let me get a brush.
Lazy days roll by, grass so green, trees sway and sigh. Fireflies light up the summer night, stars above shining bright and tight. Popsicle in hand, bare feet on sand, sandcastle built and washed away again. Laughter echoes, warm and free. Memories made, sweet and sweetly. Oh, how I
So if you want, you can take a little bit more of the titanium white and come back with your dry brush. So I'm going to use Country Red, and I'm going to create a color wash to do the red stripes. The red stripes are at the base of the dress. Lightly touch that with a paper towel. If you have excess water that needs to be picked up.
under the sun, lazy days roll by, grass so green, trees sway and sigh. Fireflies light up the summer night, stars above shining bright and tight. Popsicle in hand, bare feet on sand, sandcastle built and washed away again.
So, because we sponged this, you're getting interesting texture with the way that this is settling in. So, if you brushed it on, you wouldn't have as much of that kind of mottled look, which I like on these projects. I probably could have used a napkin on that paper towel, but now it's kind of too late, so I'm gonna just dry that. So now I'm going to use the same Country Red to shade. So it's going to be more solid. So we're going to put it at the top of the sock, and then we'll see whether we want it at the bottom of the sock as well.
Under the sun, lazy days roll by. Grass so green, trees sway and sigh.
Yeah, I think I'll do both sides of the stripes. And I also, I don't know, well, I guess the socks are distressed enough because you could come back with a little bit more cocoa shading if you want. Perfect. So, I don't know, I might just add in a little bit more cocoa because I definitely took it back quite a bit when I did that color wash. Just a little bit here and there. Yeah. And set that aside. Add in a bit of shading on my sheepy. Pretty easy. Do that. None of these need a lot of shading. They just need a little here and there.
Under the sun, lazy days roll by. Grass so green.
On the collar as well. Bit of cocoa. And then on the wings,
Trees sway and sigh. Fireflies light up the summer night. Stars above shining bright and tight. Popsicle in hand, bare feet on sand. Sandcastle built and washed away again. Laughter echoes, warm and free. Memories made, sweet and sweetly. Oh, how I love this summertime. With every breeze my heart takes flight. Patriotic flags wave in the wind. Stars and stripes waving so kind. Boat rides on the lake, cool and serene.
okay. So Now, the cocoa is pretty strong, which is fine here. It's a little strong on the collar, but on the wings, we want to go ahead and send that back with either color wash or with dry brushing. And I'm going to do color wash of titanium white. Get a paper towel. Okay. There we go. Of course, one thing you could do with the wings that I think would be really cool is if you do crackle paste, and then when you do a color wash over the top of it, like a color wash of cocoa, it will go into the crackle. However, because I did not do crackle paste on her, I want my two angels to match. So I'm doing the wings the same, except these wings will be just a little bit brighter. There's a little bit of Snow White in here. So if that's too dark for you, you could also do a color wash on that. But I don't know. I'll look. Nah, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. Okay, so where are we on this? She has no hair, no face. Yeah. So we have to do a whole bunch of dry brushing on her dress. And I think I'll do a color wash. I think I'm going to do a color wash of a lighter. I'm going to pause this while I pick my color. For shading, deep midnight blue and color wash of Grecian blue on the blue dress. So let us do that. So this line going down the arm area, try to keep that out of the hand.
Dad's old boat, we'd sail and dream. Mom's homemade lemonade, cold and sweet. Some days, memories to keep. Sunset hues, keep the sky so wide. Endless fun, no need to hide. Oh, how I love this summertime. With every breeze, my heart takes flight. Patriotic flags waving the wind. Stars and stripes waving so kind.
I got a smidge in there, but like I said, sometimes if you go in to fix some of those things, you can end up making it worse. So you have to make a decision if you bother with it or you just let it ride. And we can come back and add in more shading after the color wash if we want. But I don't want her dress to be just so plain, and I want something more than just dry brushing. So I can do a slightly wider shade. Oh yeah, I forgot. So I'm going to I'm going to use a pencil. Well, no, I'll just hold it in place. Okay, so it has to, in order to put the shade, I just need to put the collar up a little bit further than where it will be glued. So okay.
Dad's old boat, we'd sail and dream. Mom's homemade lemonade, cold and sweet. Summer-based memories to keep. Sunset hues keep the sky so wide. Endless fun, no need to hide. Oh, how I love this summertime. With every breeze, my heart takes flight. Patriotic flags wave in the wind.
Okay, so this is a new color, Grecian blue, and I'm going to do a color wash. So of course keep it off the hands and the face, and just blend it as you go. I was going to use a paper towel, but this area is kind of too big to keep. You kind of have to wipe it as you go, and the paper towel, you kind of need to do it all at once. So I'm just going to use my stiff bristle brush. Oh yeah, the collar goes there. That's not even going to show. All right, I like that shade. That definitely adds a little something different. So we want to paint her hair, and we've already done this in the light buttermilk. And I did her hair a little darker than the one I did on the spring angel. But you can play around with the colors that you like and pick a mixture that works for you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a color wash of this salted caramel. It really has this really rich caramelly tone to it. So we're going to start by doing both hair pieces with salted caramel color wash. So you want to get your inky wash going. So add in a little bit of water so you get a milky, inky consistency. And if you're starting with a brush that's dry, dip it into water first to get it damp. Otherwise, it will just soak up all of the liquid that you're putting down on your color wash here. So I usually pull the paint into the water to get the right consistency, as opposed to mixing all of it. And if you mix it all at once, you might find that you've added way too much water. Then you have to add more paint. So if you do it gradually by pulling it into the water, it usually means that you're not necessarily wasting as much paint that you end up leaving on your palette paper. So probably are going to do 2 of these. Now I can leave that like that, but if I wanted to either dab it with a brush or lightly touch it with a paper towel, I can, to pick up some of the areas that got very wet. But you can play around with it. You can use a stippling brush on the smaller pieces, or you can use the stiff Jack Richardson style domed brush. So however you want to do it. It's looking okay. It's not looking like it's too wet. So you're just trying to keep like watermarks from happening. And onto this piece as well. And then you will dry. If you want to add a second coat, you will dry. This area here isn't going to have, it's going to be covered up, but I'm still going to go ahead, just paint the whole thing. So you can tell I used 3 coats to build this color. 3 coats, 2 coats to build this color. So just use your heat tool if you want to move it along. And because I sponged on my light buttermilk, I'm getting lovely texture in the hair. Okay, so now if you need to, you can come back with a little bit more water and drag your paint down, mix it. Go over it again. And one thing about color washes that I like when you're doing laser cutting is that it doesn't obliterate your scored lines. So I know some people don't necessarily like the scored lines, but a lot of us do use it and like it. I like having it. So okay, so I was saying that you could use a combination of burnt umber and raw umber. So the raw umber has a little bit more grayness to it. I really like the burnt umber better. You also can use a little bit of espresso for shading. These are shading colors, but I may come back with the espresso and add another color wash after I shade, because that changes the tone completely. You know, we'll go from this kind of blonde color into something that's more brown hues. So I'm going to start with the burnt umber to shade with, and you're going to use your scored lines to be your guides on shading. Oops, trying to knock everything over in my art room. I have a little lamp over here. Okay. So you can see on here on the shading that I'm kind of going quasi under, but sort of almost on the curls as well. But you can apply the shading wherever you want on here. So and it might take a couple of times around on the shading to get the depth of color that you're looking for. This is looking awfully sharp. It looks too sharp. So I'm going to soften that line up a little bit. It's just, the shading is too sharp. It's just not really lifting. I'll have to just go back over it once it's dry. I think my brush was just too dry and it just wasn't releasing a nice float of color. So I will go back over that so it doesn't have that funky little line. So you can see that the shading is a lot darker than the color wash. That's why I will probably come back in with my espresso color wash and just kind of bring everything into the same kind of hue so it's not like a shock between the shade and your color wash. So espresso. Focus. Focus. There you go. It's like my camera is trying to autofocus and it's struggling. Okay. Oh, I completely forgot about this little guy. I got a shade on that. So you're going to concentrate your shading on the bottom of the piece. Too wet. Too wet. Too wet. Too wet. Okay, back to that. And save the highlights for the top and the shading towards the bottom of that piece.
before you do a color wash, you always have to make sure that the shading is completely dry. Okay. So now we're getting into slightly warmer brown tones. Okay. Same over here. So now it might be a good time to bring in. You could use an asphaltum, but I think that's going to be pretty close to asphaltum. So I'm going to bring in the raw umber, which is a much darker, not much darker, but it is a darker brown, and it has just a hint of kind of grayness in it. And I'm just going to bring that in. And you don't have to do it, like if you like these kind of more chocolatey tones, maybe you don't want to come back with something too dark. So that's up to you. Whatever shades you've decided to use with this project. You can use blacks and reds and all different kinds of tones to do your hair color, of course. And you can kind of walk it out a little bit if you want into the body of the hair. So again, this is the raw umber. I started with burnt umber, and I'm just adding in a little something extra. And this is still too sharp up here for me, so I'm going to have to, I probably will go back over that with the color wash until I get the tone calmed down. It's just, the shading ended up being really, really sharp. So. And, you know, you could just jump into, if you're trying to achieve the darker brown hair, you could just jump straight into espresso color wash and skip the salted caramel, but it does sort of change the overall effect then, because you don't have any of that caramelly color coming through. But I am going to go ahead. Like I said, I'm not happy up there. And every time you do this, it looks different. So this hair doesn't look anything like that hair. I guess there's some relationship, but it's a little different. Okay. Let me just lightly, I'm going to add in a little bit more color wash on some of these areas that I want to be lighter. So I want a little bit of this salted caramel. I just want to kind of put it back up in there. and maybe a little bit in here, a little bit in there, a little bit in there. Just adding it back in a little bit. And this piece should be a little bit lighter than that piece, because that's normally the way the forehead is. It grabs the light more. On this piece, I did some dry brushing right at the top, but this is so bright already, I don't really feel like I need to do that. You could certainly do a float of like warm white up there, or light buttermilk if you wanted to, or a little bit of dry brushing of light buttermilk. Let me see if I get a dry brush and just see what that looks like. Get a dry brush. So a little bit of light buttermilk and a paper towel. I'll just use this corner here. Uh-oh. That still has some. I washed the heck out of this brush and it still has pink in it. Okay, nope, not going to use that. That is so shocking. Okay, that's better. All right, this is just a little bit of light buttermilk, and you could run it across the top of your piece if you wanted. Okay, so that's basically how you do the hair. Light, dark, whatever color works. And then, so her body goes in between. So you can see. And one thing you want to keep in mind when you start to glue this together, you see how the wing sits on the top, or the hair sits on top of the wing. And so you just kind of have to play with it until you get the position right on the hair, because it's kind of flush on the side there, but then a little bit of it pokes up here. So you just kind of twist it until you get this effect of it swooping out, as opposed to like don't twist it so it's swooping that way. You want it to kind of go, that way, and let it sit on the wing. So you just kind of play around with it and until you get it positioned the way you like it. Okay, so that's how you do the hair. So the flowers are going to be, this is wild berry, and then I'm going to come back with the country red on those and do some other, stuff after. I have some baby duck going on the centers and the beak, new leaf on the leaves. Oops, there's a flower that got away. I guess I'll make that one country red. So country red. So there's not a lot of tonal difference between these two. I'm going to have to do something to make them significantly different from each other. Whoops, just went into the wrong color. So these will be covered up with pretty big centers. So but I'm still gonna do some interesting stippling. Just trying to figure out what so I'm gonna make these flowers pop because I want them to look a lot different than each other. So I have a pink neon and a fiery red neon. So that's gonna shake things up. So I need a stippling brush. Okay. So neon fiery red. Just a little bit here and there onto the red ones. There's the heart. Okay, so now this pink okay, so there's the pink. Interesting. That makes them different enough. I like that. This one is going on the head, so I'm going to actually combine colors on that one. So it's not related to those. So okay, so these little dots, I'm gonna put some warm white and some cocoa dots on them. Methinks. Using a stylus. Oh, and cocoa. Oh, it's been a busy day. Doodly doodly doo, doodly doodly doo. Where's the stylus? Okay. That's about all you can get on there, I guess. Okay. So let's go over some of the finishing touches. Okay, so what I like to do is before I start gluing everything together, I like to spray everything individually. And then once I do start gluing things together, I start with the smaller pieces onto the smaller pieces, and then eventually put those pieces onto the body of the angel. I.e., don't try to put the elements onto the body and then add the little pieces after the fact. Put the little pieces together first. So after you've sealed everything, because like I said, I like to seal them individually. You can still seal once you have it in place, but I spray seal, but I know a lot of you also brush seal, and it's of course a lot easier to brush seal if things are flat. And if you got everything layered up and you're trying to brush seal, that's not going to be easy. So one thing I did with these flowers, I showed you how I was stippling them. So I brought the neon fiery red down here. The crimson shade is down here. You can go a little darker, like if you wanted an espresso or something to shade down there. I didn't do that. But I did a couple of the flowers were wild berry, and then a couple of the flowers were country red. But then I stippled them kind of the same, and I used the neon fiery red and the neon pink, and then I mixed a little bit as I had those colors in my dry brush. I mixed it with like a little bit of the warm white, and it made it a slightly lighter stipple. And so you just play around with the stippling until you get the kind of color that you want. And it's also on the top, the hair flower as well. So that's how I finished up the stippling, to get it to be a little bit more lighter. And I tried to make like, this one was lighter than this one. This one was lighter than this one. I just varied it up a little bit. And don't forget to put your highlights on some of these pieces, and the heart as well. So use Snow White or Warm White to do that. Let me go out. Okay. And also, once you have everything in place, then you can do your accent dots. And I waited until I had the hair piece in place to do the eyes, because they kind of line up with the heart. So without the hair piece and the heart in place, I was having a hard time getting center, like where do my eyes go? And you can see that they're not just black, so you can either use a black paint and do the dots, or you can use like a black paint marker. And then I came with a small shading brush, angled brush, and I brought in just a little bit of, I said Grecian blue in the pattern, but you can, it looks like I used New Leaf on the bottom of her eyes. But you don't have to do that. You can just have black, and you don't even have to have the white highlight if you don't want to. I just liked it better that way. So, and of course, white, Snow White eyes here. I think that's about everything on finishing this piece up. Let me put my little face back here. Okay, there I am. So if you have any questions, though, shoot me a message, and I hope you enjoyed putting her together, making her. I think she's super sweet, and she needs her little friend here, too. Oh, hello, friend. Oh, how are you doing? Yay. Yeah, I can get silly sometimes. Sorry. Anyway, this is Kathy McAllister of Teawife Creations. Thank you so much for watching today. And like I said, if you have any questions, just shoot me a message, and I will see you guys soon. Love you, love you.
Lazy days roll by, grass so green, trees sway inside. Fireflies light up the summer night, stars above shining bright and tight. Popsicle in hand, bare feet on sand, sand castle built and washed away again. Laughter echoes